So I heard about Sophie from Mars before. I believe there was some situation where I think, okay, do not quote me on this. I do not know that this is true. This is recollection, okay? I think a TERF on Twitter posted something about seeing some trans person in a toilet in London or Bristol, one of the two. And basically, this Sophie from Mars person said, "Oh, I know that was me," that they're talking about there on Twitter. And also, yeah, as long as Silence pointing out in chat, it's also the trans that Bad Bunny cried to. So when Bad Bunny was getting like cancelled for something, I think they did a stream together where Bad Bunny was like saying how upset she was being cancelled. I don't know. Anyway, we've got a documentary here made by some fellow British guy. So I think Sophie from Mars is British as well. It's called Meet the Trans Activists. I found it while I was looking into Sophie from Mars. On a very special website. Which loves trans people. Very trans supportive website. Good friends of Liz Fong Jones, I believe, if you know what I'm talking about.
That's literally bourgeois.
So yeah, immediately when I start this video, you get the picture here. I think the sort of the angle this documentary's taken. Okay, but this is going to be, I think, somewhat enjoyable at least.
Oh, his dad was literally a capitalist. He ran a factory.
It's the 26th of February 2023 and the Reformers Tree in Hyde Park, London.
Okay. I have to.
Once again, the
It's just too blatant. We need to be smart with it.
Organised
Okay.
by Kelly J. Keane and her group Standing for Women. First held in March of 2020, this would be the 22nd such event to take place, usually on the last Sunday of the month. Until very recently, these events had gone down peacefully and without any hassle, but in November last year, that changed. A small, noisy counter-protest showed up with banners such as this one, calling to arm trans people, and this one. One trans activist squirted Kelly J. Keane, aka Posey Parker, with liquid.
So Posey Parker isn't the first female fascist. Let's make her the last. Jesus Christ.
From a bottle as she arrived at the rally. Another trans activist was arrested after an altercation with DJ Lippy. Apart from those two lamentable incidents, the day went peaceably. The policing was adequate, and little to no disruption to the rally happened. Coming back to the recent event this February, and things had changed. The trans activist counter-protest was considerably larger and angrier. Combined with inadequate policing, this meant the trans activists were almost able to encircle the rally. Considerable disruption was caused. In practical terms, the rally, which is normally unamplified to comply with regulations in the park, could not be held due to being drowned out. It did go ahead as a live stream, and the speakers were heard by an online audience that has reached some 17,000. Throughout the rally, stewards and attendees were subjected to a torrent of noise, verbal abuse, ageism,
why are you all over 40? Why have you all had divorces?
accusations of fascism.
Like, but imagine if they were chanting back something about them not being able to have children. Like, come on. This doesn't seem fair at all. Why does one side get to just spew, like, just vitriol, but if you return any fire, you would get immediately screwed for it?
And physical intimidation from the counter-protesters, many of whom were masked. At least one attempt was made to steal a steward's body camera, and some of the women present were worried enough about the situation to call 999. To the best of my knowledge, all of the Standing for Women stewards remained calm and did not rise to the provocation. Fair play and huge respect to all of them. On the 26th of March, another Standing for Women rally was held, this time at Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park. And once again, a loud, angry trans activist counter-demo showed up to try and intimidate and drown them out. So, why this change? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but the obvious thing to point to would be the killing of trans...
yes, physical intimidation, the main tactic of women, as we all know. Okay.
Trans-identifying teenager Brianna Jai on the 11th of February. This resulted in widespread and frankly disproportionate expressions of grief and anguish, with many pointing to the killing as evidence of an epidemic of anti-trans hate, in spite of police asking the public to refrain from speculation in an active case with, as yet, no established motive. Several signs carried by members of these counter-demos suggest this is a part of the reason for their presence, saying, for example, "blood on your hands." There's also this tweet, which we'll come back to later, drawing a very strong inference of complicity on the part of Standing for Women. So what to do about all this? I was at the most recent two of these events, feeling the intense hostility directed at the rally and hearing chants like this. And the thought I kept coming back to was, why did these people feel such hatred, or perhaps such fear, of a group of women who disagree with them? I decided I'd take an investigative stance towards the people who show up to these counter-protests, with the aim of getting a good understanding of the motivations and political commitments behind this aggression. They refuse to debate, so we shall investigate. Couple of ground rules before I introduce today's subject. Firstly, I will make use of public domain material.
Oh, this guy is so base, isn't he? Holy fuck. Look, you just know this guy is about to lay down some fucking fire. Standing in the bush, in the English countryside, you know this guy is about to lay down the best documentary you've ever seen. Let's see it, dude. Do not let me down.
Only. I am not a spy. I have no interest in finding out any legitimately private information about anyone, such as addresses, phone numbers, etc.
It's the hat. It is. It's the hat. It's the hat.
Everyone's private life is their own business, but open public speech, social media posts, etc., I'm calling those fair game. To you, the viewer, you might find much of the content of this episode pitiful, because it is, but that should not be a reason to bully this subject or anyone else. If he shows up at a rally again and you wanted to state some of the flat facts of his life back to him, well, that might be appropriate, but I do not endorse retaliatory pile-ons online or any kind of actual stalking, harassment, doxing, etc. On masks and anonymity, taking inspiration from my hero Billy Bragg when he said, "It is because people think they can act with impunity that they make such abusive comments. We need more accountability, not less." I'm not going to worry too much about revealing the unmasked faces of people who've shown up at these rallies. Like Mr. Bragg says, the situation calls for more accountability, not less. Nobody has the right to stalk, intimidate and harass their political opponents and then be immune to criticism.
This guy is just spitting fire right now. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. This guy is going to just put out... He's going to lay down the most transphobic shit you've ever seen without doing anything wrong. And it's going to be so based, I can tell already. I say transphobic, I don't mean that as like actually transphobic, I mean as in from their perspective. But I'm sort of using it in a tongue-in-cheek way, I just don't know if it's coming across.
For doing so, and frankly, I've come to the view that for today's subject, the claim to fear being identified is a deliberate lie. Lastly, I will use sex-based pronouns for all cases and for all persons mentioned. No
Let's go, man. Let's fucking go.
offence is intended by doing so, and these terms are not slurs or derogatory in any way. So let's begin. Today's subject is Sophie Erica McAllister. On a little scroll around trans Twitter on the evening of the 26th of February, I found this tweet by a user called SophieFromMars, claiming to have been part of the anti-Standing for Women counter-demo that day, and posting 2 video clips that are unquestionably from there. A mere 2 clicks later, first link in this link tree, and you find his YouTube channel, which features hours and hours of...
Dude, I can't even... It's too much for even me. It's too much for even me. Just the casual dropping of sex-based pronouns. It's... Guys, I have to disavow. I have to disavow. Okay, I think it's generally polite to just speak to people the way they want to be spoken to, okay? Generally. But listen. This guy is just... This guy's is so powerful. This guy is so powerful.
High quality video of his face. Hi Sophie, I've got no doubt at all that you're going to construe this whole video as a dox and as harassment. It's neither of those things. If you want to know when the docs happened and who did it, it was right here, this tweet. And you did it when you told your then 38,000 followers that you were there, in spite of having also told them all to wear masks so as not to be identified. If this wasn't an OPSEC fail quite hard enough, you then also did a Twitch stream and told your viewership of several thousand.
As I said earlier, my voice is hoarse because I was leading chants at a demo against a fucking turf.
And then on the 27th of February, you went on Katie Montgomery's show and told his 16.9 thousand subscribers.
How do I sound to you? My voice is a little deeper than usual because I have a cold. And yesterday I woke up with a bit of a cold, and then I went and yelled at turfs and cops at the counter demo. I was actually like one of the chant leaders.
And then on the 4th of March, you went on Owen Jones's show and told his 221,000 subscribers.
We were at the counter demo against Posey Parker, who, if people don't know, is a gender critical.
So no, I'm absolutely not buying it that you being there was any kind of a secret. It's a fact you are very proud of and that you like to brag about. Direct question 1 to you, Sophie. Why, if you were going to openly tell the entire internet that you were at this counter demo, and having made a very firm commitment to having your name and face in the public domain, did you still turn up dressed like this? The supposed justification for mask wearing that you yourself had retweeted is that you and yours are in some kind of danger should the other side succeed in identifying you. You cannot actually believe that that's true and have this entirely relaxed
Dude, I'm telling you, like, you may think I'm bad, but real purebred British transphobes are just fuck it, they are next level based. You can't even compare. The guys who are like, and women mainly, who are in super deep in like this, the gender critical kind of stuff, they will just, they do not even think twice. There's the channel. Go and subscribe. This guy's seems like this guy's doing some good stuff.
Towards openly admitting the fact of your presence to all and sundry. I think there's only one remaining explanation, which is that you wore this neckerchief to make your appearance more intimidating, and for no other reason. I also suspect you were hoping somebody from my side of the wire would pick you up on this, because you've done it before. At the much smaller counter demo to the Standing for Women rally in November, you were also in attendance, this time in an all-black outfit and a surgical mask, and you were making a noisy nuisance of yourself.
Trans lives are under attack! What do we do?
Just after the rally finished, you tweeted, again from your main account, insulting Kelly J. Keene's appearance and implying that you'd seen her in the flesh that day. You also posted this from your Mastodon account the day after. Let me guess, no one even noticed? Disappointed much? Well, don't worry, you've got my attention now. Oh, and pro tip, you aren't in black bloc if you're wearing the same highly distinctive accessories that you wear while live streaming to the general public. So who is Sophie McAllister? McAllister is a self-described content creator, self-described communist, and self-described bimbo, whose primary outlet is YouTube, where he has 114,000 followers.
You got the fit check. You got it with the fit check, bro. You got it with the fit check. Nice boots.
This, he hosts fairly regular live streams on the gaming platform Twitch, and has a sizable following on Twitter. On the Twitch channel, the welcome video contains language like this.
Transition, you stupid bitch!
Elsewhere in McAllister's output, you'll find frequent derogatory use of the term turf.
The fuck does this turf mean? But it gets better. She actually wrote a letter to Kemi Badenoch, who is a kind of notorious government turf. A piece by Joanna Cherry, notable turf. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but at the same time, I fucking hate turfs. They're so embarrassing.
And this tweet calling for mobilisation against Standing for Women, describing Kelly J. Keene thusly. Fuck this fascist cunt. We have to show up en masse to this and show little brand Eva Braun she isn't welcome in London. During the February rally, McAllister was caught on camera not just repeating, but initiating the chant.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know what to make of all that, apart from pointing out the obvious, that he definitely does not qualify as a reasonable user of the D slur on account of not being a lesbian. And oh boy is he using it. Identifying as a dyke is a strong component of McAllister's public persona, and he's even gone and got this tattoo. This woman and dyke identification is quite a recent development. In a video posted in June of 2020 and still hosted on his channel, McAllister described himself as non-binary.
I'm an NB, I'm non-binary, I experience gender outside of the male-female.
Jesus. Oh, we're going for the pre-trans footage. Oh man. Still available on his YouTube, the food shops argument. God, this guy's just like me. This guy's just like me. For real. Except he likes women, apparently. Wait, that sounds like I'm gay. That's not what I mean. I mean, I hate women. That's what I'm saying. That's the joke I'm making. He's better than you. Guys, stop. Okay, listen, that was a poor phrasing, okay? Okay, guys. Alright. Okay. Very funny. Very funny. Queewanks off Damon Albarn. What's wrong? That's not gay. That's not gay. That's not gay. What's gay about that? Explain that to me.
That most of society is organized around. Or if we're being really, really simplistic about this, I'm not a boy, I'm not a girl.
He goes on to tell us this about his understanding of gender.
Judith Butler put out an influential theory about how gender is performed, and although many trans people seem to dislike it, I like it. If my gender is performed, then it is art, like all human creation. And if I perform my gender for others to pick up on and interpret, then I can put on a whole ass show. I can be complex and nuanced and dramatic. My gender can have themes. I love themes.
I like themes too. I wonder what themes we might find in your output.
Oh, dude, this guy is just so good at telegraphing when he's about to just start spitting fire. Because this is just like, you know, he's about to say something insane. Holy fuck.
Theme 2. The Grift.
We've already encountered a theme of the free and easy use of slurs that target groups McAllister is not a member of. Another theme I noticed is perhaps best titled,
Please send me money. Money
oh,
me.
No.
Money now. Me a money. Needing a lot now. No, don't worry. I'm not having an aneurysm. That was how McAllister chose to sign off this crowdfunder for facial feminization surgery, through which he was able to raise £16,835 for said procedure. He then went on to admit to spending $7,000 on the surgery.
I am open to
endless. How much?
He then through which he was able to raise £16,835 for said procedure.
9,000 left
over. He then went
over.
on to admit to spending $7,000 on the surgery.
I am open to endless comments about how beautiful I am. Nothing is too far. Just tell me how much of a simp you are and how you were adoring my looks. I paid $7,000 for them, so I do not mind.
So where the difference went is anyone's guess. There's also a Patreon, earning £3,733.
Just stole $9,000 just straight out of a GoFundMe. Bro, why do these people not get fucked for this?
A month. That's 44.7k a year, which, even after Patreon's fees are deducted, is an income of several £1,000s over the UK average salary for someone in
Hey, get your money back as well. Jesus Christ, 7k for that. What the fuck are you doing?
Full-time employment. And there's more. McAllister has included a pizza money feature on his link tree, from which I quote, "If you want to just send me money, human being to human being, for me to spend on pizza..."
Yeah. The GoFundMe video's coming one day.
Or drugs or silly little dresses, this is the simplest way. He's also got an active Amazon wish list. Ahem. How very communist of you, comrade. Such worker solidarity. The Amazon wishlist includes 4 books that any self-respecting leftist might want on their shelf, before lapsing rapidly into such staples of the proletariat as these official premium Pokemon plushies, Lego creator playsets costing up to £100 each, computer games, a PlayStation 5, manga, obviously, PlayStation Store credit, and an 8 terabyte.
Did he just go manga? Obviously.
Lego creator playsets costing up to £100 each, computer games, a PlayStation 5, manga, obviously, PlayStation Store credit, and an 8 terabyte external hard disk drive with password protection.
This guy is so good.
And then there's also whatever income McAllister has received from clocking up nearly 3.5 million views on his YouTube channel, a rough estimate of which would be around 50 grand. Oh, and if you look in the About, there's another link, this time to a PayPal, for anyone who wishes to simply hand over their cash without the promise to spend it on pizza, drugs, or dresses. And there's also the regular solicitation of donations during live streams over Twitch, which frequently reach several £100s.
Before we get any further in the stream, we should say, we need to raise some money. If you have a Prime account, you can attach your Prime account to your Twitch account. You can give me a subscription for free. It would cost you no money, and I get actual real money for it. So that would be pretty fucking based, in my opinion.
Aha. That's professional.
We don't have the donation bar up because of technical issues today, but if you want to help me get £1 million for Christmas, you can use command tip. If you have a Prime account, you can link your Prime account today, but if you want to help me get £1 million for Christmas, you can use command tip. If you have a Prime account, you can link your Prime account to your Twitch account. You can give me a free subscription. It doesn't cost you any money. It gives me real money. It's very cool. But I most of all would appreciate if you tipped. Money me needing a lot of money now. I've had pretty good viewership, but not so many tips today. Finger wag, distasteful look. If you have a Prime subscription, you can attach your Prime.
True, guys, turn off that pesky ad block. Okay, guys, please like, sub, donate if you can, buy a super chat, buy a membership.
Account to your shout out to the archive channel. Hello, archive channel. Give me your fucking money.
And then there's this.
This video is sponsored by Boxu,
which I thought had to be a self-aware satire, but no, there really is a link here where you can pay up to $479 for a year's subscription to receive a monthly box full of individually plastic wrapped little Japanese snacks to be shipped halfway around the world. McAllister is also a self-described environmentalist.
Delicious.
A question that pops into my head on this one: why do the enormous number of tragic weebs floating around the transactosphere never seem to be accused of cultural appropriation? Just food for thought.
I'd be utterly embarrassed to be asking people to give me money to do what McAllister does, even once, by one means. Never mind by all these different methods and at this intensity. And to think, this lot like to slag off KJ Keane as being a grifter for selling a few t-shirts? That looks like being just about the only scam that McAllister hasn't involved himself in. Oh wait, what's this? Shocked.
Don't miss out on this amazing snack journey through Japan.
This guy's wild.
Money is bullshit.
So
but
based.
I still appreciate
what other sections we got?
Money.
Lies.
In February, McAllister posted on
Transitions
Mastodon about being stressed over money, having been derailed from content creation and streams by an abusive relationship, and then about having surfaced from that and being up and writing again, hoping to make enough money to live, writing the things I want to write. He certainly sees this whole thing as his job and says so repeatedly.
I am doing my job right now, and I like when I get paid for my job. It would be.
Bro, these chapters are insane. This is fucking so good. Holy shit.
Nice to receive some payment for doing my job.
So we've got motive here. McAllister is a
full-time professional paid evangelist,
keeping a roof over his head through his popularity in the influencer economy. This makes me ponder RE this.
If my gender is performed, then it is art, like all human creation.
Is this entire persona a profitable performance at this point? Is he painted into a corner having to be the most radical person out there to keep the fans interested, clicking and donating? Keep that in mind as we go on to some other themes.
Lies. In January of 2022, McAllister gave a speech at a trans rights demo outside the BBC headquarters. It's a classic of the genre, a screed of incendiary accusations and attempts at victim status assertion. A number of false claims were made. I'm only going to unpick part of it, but link in the description for the curious. One subject of this speech was the BBC's now infamous cotton ceiling article, which marked the first time a major news platform in the UK, and quite possibly worldwide, had given air to the perspectives of lesbians being pressured into the acceptance of so-called trans lesbians, aka heterosexual men, in their communities, dating apps, and even dating pool. McAllister treats this article as if it were an aberration. Let's jump in mid-flow.
The biggest journalistic institution in the country I have lived in almost my entire life published an article calling people like me rapists, associating our basic inherent characteristics with rape. The article's only named source was herself a serial rapist.
Okay, first thing, the title as originally published said some, my buddy. If you aren't doing this, then the article isn't about you, is it? So why so cagey? I'm getting serious MRA vibes. Secondly,
I'd say I think Lady doth protest too much, but I don't think that guy would agree with that phrasing, to be honest. I think he would take offense to that.
This is a flat-out lie about there being only one named source. I guess you must think your audience is so balkanized they'll just believe what you tell them rather than do the tiniest bit of reading themselves. Taking them in order, 3 unnamed women gave first-hand testimony under the pseudonyms of Jenny, Amy,
Lads
and Chloe.
doth protest too
One of
much,
these has
perhaps.
since come forward
Yeah.
and put her real name and face to her testimony, but I'm not going to link that here out of a fear of renewed reprisals against her. Next, we had the first named source, Angela C. Wilde, representing Get the L Out, who was quoted as saying, "People said we are worse than rapists because we, supposedly, try to frame every trans woman as a rapist. This is not the point. The point is that if it happens, we need to speak about it. If it happens to one woman, it's wrong. As it turns out, it happens to more than one woman." Notice this also contradicts McAllister's claim of having been wrongfully maligned as a whole demographic. Brief details of Get the L Out's Lesbians at Ground Zero report are also given in the article, adding another 80 unnamed witness testimonies to the equation. Then we had trans-identifying YouTuber Rose of Dawn quoted as saying, "Certainly from my own friends group, the trans women I'm friends with, almost all of them agree lesbians are free to exclude trans women from their dating pool. I'm glad to hear that. That's almost good enough." Next we had another trans-identifying contributor, Debbie Hayton, who was followed by Bev Jackson, representing the LGB Alliance. This quote from her from the article contradicts both points McAllister put. "We know a minority, but still a sizable minority of trans women, do pressure lesbians to go out with them and have sex with them, and it's a very disturbing phenomenon." Next up was Lily Cade, the 5th named source, and the source McAllister tells us, twice,
The article's only named source, that her only named source was herself a rapist.
was the only named source. Cade was included in the original article and
Yeah, so I didn't really follow this like too much. I feel like I saw some of it, but I definitely saw it parroted around that this woman was a rapist. He's just unblinkingly misgendering them. Yeah, it's just fuck it. Because he just genuinely, through and through, to his very core, he just does not see them in any way as women. It's just... It is just totally his outlook. He just doesn't even think about it. It's not even a consideration.
segment in which Lowbridge...
What is this clip?
This guy's just like me. This guy's just like me.
That's okay. Well, that's not
Except he likes women. Apparently,
that's not what I was doing, was it? That's not what my point was. I was not talking about the guy who was on the screen at that point. That was not. That was not the point.
Sort out the origins of the term cotton ceiling. Unlike the other contributors, Cade's input was not to do with pressure being applied around dating and relationships, but rather was a description of an argument between two pornographers about boundaries and how that was received among, quote, very fringe queer porno people. It was not, at the end of the day, an important part of the article, the main thrust of which is well supported by the plethora...
That wasn't a guy, anyway. I wouldn't say he about like that individual on the screen. That was a beautiful woman.
...of other sources. Controversy arose because, in the immediate aftermath of publication, and amid howls of rage from trans activists, Cade went on to publish posts on her own website, which I haven't been able to find, but which by all accounts crossed the line into legitimate hate speech with calls to violence against trans-identified men and even specific named targets. As a result, she was edited out of the BBC article entirely by the 4th of November at the latest, at least 10 weeks before McAllister would make this speech.
I find it hard to believe he wouldn't have been aware of that edit having been made, so why still make her the centre of his argument? The reason is twofold. Firstly, there was simply nothing else even remotely arguably wrong with the article, and secondly, that it gifted McAllister an opportunity to riff on a very favourite theme which we will come back to, trans genocide.
That trans people face an exterminationist project.
There are features of genocide emerging. When Labour canvassers come to my door, I will ask them to look me in the eyes and tell me that their party cares about trans people and will not continue our extermination.
To write a genocidal manifesto calling for the execution of trans women.
You should kick up a stink with your local Labour Party about how the party is doing absolutely fuck all and is currently endorsing people who are committed to an exterminationist project against us.
That's some wild stuff. Coming back to the article for a minute, the sixth and last supportive source was Annie O'Brien, representing Speak Up for Women New Zealand, who said on the subject of the effect of social media on young lesbians, "What we are seeing is a regression where once again young lesbians are being told, 'How do you know you don't like dick if you haven't tried it?' And we get told we should be looking beyond genitals and should accept that someone says they are a woman."
That's so gross, man. It's gross when straight dudes say that. Like, didn't Tipster say some shit like that, wasn't it? What did Tipster say? Why do all the hot ones not like dick? That was it. It's gross enough when people say shit about a trans person. It's especially rancid, I have to say. He was right. How was he? He was not right, bro. I don't think he was right at all. Most lesbians kind of like not attractive. I don't know, dude. It's disgusting because he's fat. No, I think it was just kind of gross. Diamonds in the rough.
And that's not what homosexuality is. 5 additional sources from the trans activist side of this rift were invited for comment. 4 of them declined, but relevant quotes from their output were included in the article. Nancy Kelly, the CEO of Stonewall, responded with a now infamous statement confirming the depth and scope of this problem by suggesting homosexuality was akin to racism. If you find that when dating, you are writing off entire groups of people, like people of colour, fat people, disabled people, or trans people, then it's worth considering how societal prejudices may have shaped your attractions.
So there were 6 supportive contributing named sources,
one of whom was subsequently cut, and several of whom made it crystal clear they were talking about a specific subset of trans-identifying men, not the entire demographic.
Plus another 5 named sources you might say were politically opposed to the point being made in the article, but whose contributions end up inadvertently supporting it all the same. You can choose to ignore the testimony of the other 80 women who spoke on condition of anonymity, but if you need to put your face and your name to your speech in order for that speech to be considered valid, then what the fuck is this?
Oh, he's hitting them with the holding you to your own standards. This guy's on fire, man. Honestly. Unstoppable.
One last dark note on there.
He seems way too much of a normie to be making this good of a hit piece commentary video.
According to McAllister's social media post, since making this speech, he himself has been the victim of sexual violence, and even brought this up in conversation with Owen Jones while discussing Ruby Sampson's Genusgate article, like so.
She has said that women like me shouldn't be in women's spaces. She said that women like me being around me, specifically being around, makes her feel unsafe, and then she imagines a whole, like, horrible fantasy of me being sexually violent, which, again, I'm a sexual assault survivor, and it's just mortifying and disgusting and dehumanizing.
In context, this was said to make the claim that it's wrong for women like Sampson to be frightened of potential sexual assault by trans women. What McAllister didn't bother to mention to Jones is that his abusive ex, who he's publicly written about extensively, was another trans-identifying man. By his own standards then, he now is a lesbian who has been abused by a trans woman.
In general, I don't think these sorts of painful details of past trauma should be brought to wider attention for any kind of point-scoring exercise.
So, wait. I feel like that's maybe an important point to actually note. So, Sophie from Mars here is saying, there's no way it's insane to think I could be unsafe around someone. I could never be unsafe around someone. I'm a sexual assault survivor myself. But now she's being accused of being, some kind of sexual misconduct, whatever it is, manipulation and psychological abuse, I think, pressure. Oh, and physical abuse as well. So, yet again, someone weaponizing their own history to try and cover up their bad actions. Craziness.
If you were going to try and frame yourself and the whole demographic of trans women as these perfect victims, then this becomes quite a serious lie of omission. With the gender ideology bullshit scraped off of it, this claim becomes, do not fear attack by men, because I was attacked by a man. If you're wondering if this unfortunate life event caused McAllister to reevaluate his stance towards either the cotton sealing rhetoric or the BBC's Lowbridge article on the same, well, here he is on the 4th of March of this year, bringing it up to Owen Jones.
When the Caroline Lowbridge article came out in the BBC, which as far as I'm aware, the BBC still hasn't retracted, that in no uncertain terms called trans women rapists, kind of based on our inherent characteristics.
So that'd be a no then.
The next lie from the same speech.
After I gave my speech, it transpired there had been a little fascist creep in the audience, who was taking videos and pictures upskirting me on stage to send to fascist collaborator Andy Ngo, who shared it with his audience of nearly 1 million people.
Upskirting her?
In case you don't know, upskirting is an act of voyeurism whereby somebody takes a photo or video, typically looking up someone's skirt for their own gratification and without permission.
That's not what this is
It's been a criminal offence in England since 2019, with a maximum penalty of 2 years in prison and placement on the sex offenders register. When you listen to McAllister's description of this event, what sort of image comes to mind? Perhaps this photographer has gone right to the front and knelt down to get a compromising angle. Perhaps they used a zoom lens to show a lot of detail in such a shot. Here's what actually happened in the video in question.
Not then, nor is now, a figment of our imagination.
Okay.
Pardon me? Class war.
Okay.
I told you.
Okay.
One moment.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
That's it. That's what Andy Ngo tweeted with the description: London radical trans protest outside Downing Street. A trans speaker on stage gets their speech interrupted when the wind blows their dress up and exposes their underpants.
Dear viewer, not even so much as a misgendering was done that day. Let me say this, I don't think this is good journalism, it's a tedious kind of humour, but to call this upskirting and attempt to play the victim of the back of it is just absurd.
It also does not fit coherently with McAllister's predilection for publicly posting not safe for work photos, even including nudes, as well as graphic descriptions of his sex life and fetishes. It also doesn't fit with the fact that this whole speech, with all these wardrobe malfunctions, and shot from a more compromising angle, is still available on his own YouTube channel. Like, this is your video. You could have cropped in on this bit if you actually found people seeing your pants to be traumatic as claimed. You don't. You're just playing the victim in an attempt to frame people mocking you as a sex crime. And he didn't just claim this once. This is a victimization McAllister riffs on. One last big lie that brings us back to the Standing for Women rallies. McAllister described the crowd at the event on the 26th of February like this.
So we have to rely on as many trans people as possible showing up, putting ourselves directly under threat and in harm's way with all of these fucking transphobes right there. These absolutely rabid, violent, angry transphobes. You can see footage of all this online. You can see how ready to hurt someone these people are.
You've seen a bit of it in the intro already, but I'll refute this one with some more video clips and you can make your own mind up.
Under threat and in harm's way with all of these fucking transphobes right now. These absolutely rabid, violent, angry transphobes.
Next theme. Transition and
yeah,
Sophie's.
okay.
It is January 29th, 2020, and I'm wearing a skirt for the first time. It's exciting.
Tweeting about what I hope was an imaginary appointment at a gender identity clinic, McAllister described his
So, I mean, I feel like I kind of get the point. We'll finish the documentary, but I get the point that this person does seem like kind of fucking terrible. Let's be real. Like, the GoFundMe stuff alone is enough for me to hate him. I fucking hate this shit so much. Yeah, I hate it so much. The GoFundMe shit drives me so insane. But we'll finish it. It's a good documentary though. I'm liking it.
Transition goals thusly. To deal with my dysphoria, I need to have milkers. I need to have just
No, I don't.
tits.
I hate the just straight lying for money. I hate that.
I need to look like a JRPG character. I need to be stacked like an NFT PFP. I need to look like I'm drawn for a fetish commission on DeviantArt. Some real, redacted, looking Okay, so the bit that I've redacted here is a reference to a furry porn website. The site is based on user contributions and centers around depictions of fursonas involved in every kind of pornographic sexual encounter you could imagine. A couple of typical examples are on screen now.
Jesus Christ, why are you showing this, bro?
That, in my opinion, would qualify as prohibited images of children as per Section 62 of the Coroners and Justice Act of 2009 and are illegal in the UK. Disturbingly, the site...
What, E621? Yeah, E621's been around a long time and is still going. I know because recently me and Rita were looking for the Martha Speaks image that the Buffalo shooter had on his phone before he went into the Walmart and killed all his black people. And if you literally on every like porn and furry porn website, the comments are turned off on that image. The image is still there, but the comments are always turned off because obviously they just got flooded with people doing like, you know, alt-right type memes. Martha Speaks, yeah, there's like a Martha Speaks, yeah, like the dog, yeah, there's like a Rule 34 kind of image that the Buffalo shooter had on his phone before he went into the Walmart. You see it in the video. You see it on his phone. Ask Rita. Ask Rita. He'll be able to send it to you. He'll have it. Wait, actually, I've got it in a video. Stylo, 1 minute. I'm posting something. Okay. Guys, this is going to be quick, so if you're not here right now, you aren't going to see this, okay? So if you go into my Discord general chat, I'm about to post a video, but I'm going to delete it quickly, because it's probably not good to leave in there. But it has the image that I'm talking about in the video. So it's the one in the bottom left of this video, okay? So you've got about 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's gone. And it's gone. So that's all you get.
Global blacklist, the purpose of which is to, quote, prevent access to any content that features young characters in an explicit or questionable situation. This can be bypassed by simply making an account, which I have not done, but which appears to be open to anyone. The site search feature suggests that considerable numbers of posts are hidden for this reason, and they very well may be even more explicit than the ones I saw. I reported these posts to the Internet Watch Foundation. I strongly recommend you do not seek out this website. If you have a legitimate journalistic interest in verifying what I've claimed here or investigating this further, please take legal advice before doing so. Anyway, tweet 1, and we've already had to involve the authorities. This continues. Dysphoria is definitely a real medical condition. Then, GIC doctor. I don't. Me interrupting. I want T-girls who see me to involuntarily say mummy. I want to have trouble going through doors. I want bra-fitting clerks to see me coming and call for backup. I want brand new Tumblr feminists to see them and write a 10,000-word essay on problematic. GIC doctor. Do you have any preference for blocker? Me interrupting. And don't even get me started on my ass, bro. I need that Mewtwo shit. That's this Pokemon, bro. By the way. I need to have it so...
This is fucking rancid. This is just really disgusting stuff.
So fat the furniture in my house has to be designed by a specialist Swedish pervert who studied for 12 years. Got to take up 2 bus seats. Interesting side note, the popular YouTuber now going as Abigail Thorne, aka PhilosophyTube, replied to the third tweet in this thread, lamenting the lack of free availability of breast implants as part of the gender-affirming care model, and signing off the exchange like this. McAllister's interest in furry porn is a recurring theme. He tweeted this, And in his A Very Merry Turfmas stream, while performing as his alter ego of Pinko the Clown, makes a repeated joke out of accidentally opening Sophie's browser tabs and finding what I can only describe as this CGI Sonic the Hedgehog foot fetish material. Haha, very funny joke, Pinko. Well done. While writing about the kind of genital reassignment surgery he would like, McAllister also wrote, I'm getting PPV sometime in the next couple of years, and holy shit, I'm so excited. I can't believe there's a real-life futa surgery, and I'm going to have it. Lamau.
Jesus Christ.
PPV is a peritoneal pull-through vaginoplasty, and futa is a short form of futanari, a subgenre of manga pornography in which the bodies depicted resemble hypersexualized women, but have a penis in addition to a vagina. He went on, I do like my dick, and I do hate my nuts, and I do want a pussy. The idea that the general public have been sold, that gender dysphoria is a challenging condition needing these sorts of procedures as remedy, really isn't in the driving seat here, is it? This chap would like various surgeries and cross-sex hormones to be provided to him for free, clearly in the service of becoming the object of a porn-inspired, brazenly fetishistic vision of selfhood. As things stand, he's getting that. The taxpayer are providing that. This is the sort of shit that people are calling out when they say trans activism is a men's sexual rights movement. McAllister is happy to talk about having sexual fetishes as openly as this.
I find that one really funny because I do have some fetishes, but as I've stated, I was not in a dress.
And digging ever so slightly deeper into his immense online presence, we find out what some of those fetishes are. Two in particular I will draw your attention to. Piss, and more worryingly, public use. For those not savvy with kink community lingo, the public part of this term means exhibitionism, and the use part means a very strong manifestation of a dom-sub relationship. Put together, this means one person will have the free sexual use of the other in the presence of other non-participants. This might even be in a fully public place, with means such as covert penetration or remote-operated vibrators deployed.
This is so fucking disgusting. This is next level, like, degenerate.
To be fair, it might be in a fetish club or at a private party where this sort of behaviour is knowingly accepted by all present. Either way, it's an admission of getting a kick from having others witness your sexual expression. Then there's these bits from his TikToks.
There being so much stigma over where we're allowed to pee is crazy to me. Like, if you're a woman, you go in the women's public bathroom. If you're a man, you go in the men's public bathroom. If you're an older woman with a sports car, you can pee in my mouth. The urinals in...
Ugh. Ack.
Women's bathrooms, weirdly high up, conveniently waist height though, and I like that they have little taps on them. That's a joke about peeing in the sink. I came up with that while I was peeing in the sink. No! Autogynephilia was a transphobic theory invented by Ray Blanchard that explained that trans women only want to be women because they have a fetish where they imagine themselves as like sexy, beautiful women.
So this is a joke, right? But he shared this post on Mastodon. Huh. Why do I keep looking at pictures of women having disgusting things done to them and imagining I was in their place? It's a mystery, I guess.
Only a cis-het man could think of someone enjoying the idea of like being sexy in a sexual context and be like, that's a mental illness. Yeah, sometimes I'm just like jacking off looking in the mirror and I think, that guy was nuts. It's also weird how much focus
The audacity of this person with extreme AGPs dismiss AGPs and say, yeah, it's... Bro.
there is on like excluding trans women from female-only spaces, like changing rooms or whatever. Like, even if I were an athlete, even if I did sports, can you imagine if I was in the locker room with like the New Zealand women's rugby team? Like, I mean, they could just do anything they want to me.
Bro, this is like so gross.
These are all jokes, remember? Ha ha ha. Oh, and also the EHRC piss protest gets a mention.
Yeah, a while ago, some trans people went outside the EHRC and left a bunch of bottles of piss. And,
oh yeah, no, I did see that. Yeah,
it was good fun.
That's right, because yeah, you know, like.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Now it's time to move on to the alarming theme we touched on earlier: transgenocide. McAllister is a proponent of the transgenocide conspiracy theory, in which it is believed efforts are being made to actually exterminate, as in kill, all those who identify as trans or who are trans whatever that may mean. Critics of this theory quite rightly point to the utter lack of a corresponding pile of bodies and data indicating no uptick of death by violence among the trans-identified. The theory seems to be fueled mainly by the willful misunderstanding of the points put by certain gender critics or political pundits. One major early example of which was from Janice Raymond. In her book The Transsexual Empire, she wrote, "The issue of transsexualism has profound political and moral ramifications. Transsexualism itself is a deeply moral question rather than a medical technical answer. I contend that the problem of transsexualism would best be served by morally mandating it out of existence." Raymond has answered the allegation that this is a call to genocide in detail on her website, but, put briefly, what is done is that the second sentence of this paragraph is taken out of context and misconstrued as being an attack on the person, rather than what it is, a withering critique of an idea. More recently, author Helen Joyce has faced criticism along the same lines after advocating for less people to transition, and howls of anguish arose when conservative political commentator and Daily Wire pundit Michael Knowles said,
"For the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely. The whole preposterous ideology."
Proponents of the trans-genocide conspiracy take these criticisms and simply refuse to hear them as being directed at ideas rather than at people.
Yeah, and we've seen, I mean, actually heard what I would say genocidal rhetoric from right-wing commentators in the US who are just openly saying they want trans people to be eradicated, just to no longer exist.
Yeah, it is that person,
An ultra-fundamentalist religious person, telling them you are an atheist, and them reacting as if you have confessed you wish to kill their god and eradicate them. And what sort of facts are sufficient to trigger this kind of a reaction? Here are two examples, straight from the horse's mouth.
There are features of genocide emerging. The UK is taking active steps backwards on trans equality. They are putting trans women into men's prisons. That's a clear, segregation in law.
Wow. Reminder, this conversation was happening months after the whole Isla Bryson controversy made national headlines. The fact of male rapists being able to declare themselves as trans women and get placed in the women's prison estate was well known at this point. McAllister is framing one of the most basic pieces of safeguarding of women prisoners, recognised by the United Nations in their standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners, as being genocidal. And number two...
And then there's, of course, medical segregation, where every other person in the UK...
Yeah, that's actually the most retarded thing I've ever heard. The idea that not allowing trans women into female prisons is genocide. What even is the argument there? That they'd have a harder time in men's prisons? Yeah. But it's actually we have international laws that are set up to safeguard women, and you can't just start overwriting those because you've decided that you're more oppressed now.
Gets free medicine that's based on informed consent. They go to their doctor and they say, I've got this and I want this treatment and I'd like it now. And for trans people, you go and you say, I'm trans and I'd like healthcare related to that. And they say, okay, I don't believe you.
Do I need to explain why this is a ridiculous misrepresentation of how medicine even works? We go to the doctor with symptoms and then rely on their expertise to come up with a diagnosis. They may then offer us a range of treatment options and enough information about any adverse outcomes or side effects that we can give informed consent to go forward with that treatment. The patient does not self-diagnose. The patient does not choose the treatment pathway that will be offered. The only part of this that is vaguely true is that patients are free to accept or decline an offered treatment based on informed consent. It's quite astounding to me that the same man who talks about his supposedly gender dysphoria-based prescription for estrogen like this...
I need to have milkers. I need to have just silly big tits.
...can then go and put on a straight face and talk to Owen Jones and his whole audience and frame any medical gatekeeping of his estrogen supply as him being genocided? Is this just an extraordinary lack of self-awareness or what? Anyway, in the case of the trans-genocide conspiracy theory more widely, the theory rattles around in the trans activist discourse, being boosted and recirculated by key figures. The thing that's not clear to me is to what extent this message has genuinely convinced those spreading it of an existential threat that they face, or conversely, to what extent they are doing so as a cynical ploy to mobilize and galvanize the movement around them, converting victimhood into allegiance into cold hard cash like a modern day alchemist of outrage. Remember,
If I perform my gender for others to pick up on and interpret, then I can put on a whole ass show.
It would be nice to sit and draw out this criticism as if it were consequence-free, but it's not. Convincing people that they are under threat will inevitably make them respond as if that were true. We've already seen this threatening and intimidating behaviour in general towards those critical of the idea of transgenderism. But coming back to today's subject, there's another theme to highlight. McAllister exhibits a worrying interest in knives and other weapons, and enjoys posing with them. His Tumblr header features a firearm. He's written posts that speak glowingly about 3D printed firearms, as well as this TikTok video celebrating armed struggle.
I'm just thinking about J-Stock, the designer of the most advanced 3D printed rifle, and how he made it available to everyone.
J-Stock?
About 3D printed firearms, as well as this TikTok video celebrating armed struggle.
I'm just thinking about J-Stock, the designer of the most advanced 3D printed rifle, and how he made it available to everyone in the world via the internet.
So if other people see
J-Stock, what are you doing, bro? Oh, J-Stark.
us as extremists, that's okay. But what I can tell is, we do not want harm to anyone. We want everyone to live peacefully amongst each other. And we want people to have the freedom of speech and the right to bear arms.
J-Stock is J-Stalking Chinese.
He praised a bizarre radical trans screed titled Wages for Transition, which, among its many lunacies, states, "When we commit armed robbery to fund our surgeries, that is wages for transition. And when we mug the rich to pay for wheelchairs, that is wages for transition." And made this unguarded confession on stream about having deliberately escalated a confrontation with a teenage boy in Armenia.
We went into a general store, and there was this teenager working there, and he went into and he was really unhappy to see us, me and Leica, and he went into the hardware section and got like a baseball bat and then like stood like tapping it into his palm, like looking at us from the other end of the store, while everyone else was just being normal, like just being a normal person. And he just didn't stop doing it. So once I was done checking out, I said to Leica, just wait here for a sec, and I just went into the hardware section and I got his attention like this. I was like, "Hey, excuse me," and he turned around and I picked up like a big mallet, like a big iron mallet, and a little axe, like a little wood cutting axe, and I went, "Hey, excuse me, do you think that I should buy this? Or do you think I need this?"
But, bro, why would you even say this?
Don't worry, I don't think I need either of them. And I put them down and I just left. And he didn't speak any English, but I think he understood me pretty well.
He posted this on his Tumblr, suggesting he thinks fascists should be stabbed in the throat. To be clear, McAllister absolutely believes TERFs qualify as fascists, and says so repeatedly. So, knives are cool, fascists are to be stabbed in the throat, TERFs are fascists, and all of this is self-defense against the non-existent plot to eradicate trans people for which TERFs are to blame. I wonder, what does a woman have to do to qualify as a TERF in this worldview? For that, let's awkwardly segue into the last section. Genusgate. Okay, long story.
What does this mean? What does this mean? What are we about to watch?
Story short, Ruby Sampson wrote this article for the Daily Mail about a disturbing encounter with a trans woman in a pub toilet.
Oh,
Sampson
yes. Yes, this is the thing I mentioned earlier.
Claims this trans woman said the phrase, "I'm going to dry my hands on my penis," to her as a deliberate boundary violation. Sometime thereafter, McAllister claimed it was in fact him who Sampson encountered, and that he'd said, "I'm going to dry my hands on my jeans." Sampson has not confirmed or denied McAllister being the trans woman in the article, and, as McAllister rightly notes, probably will not do so because...
that would be libel.
McAllister's claim resulted in intense dogpiles and abuse on Sampson's Twitter feed, with her being called a liar and a bigot. Novara Media did a bloviating non-piece on it.
And none of us would be any the wiser about any of this were it not for this woman. This is a Twitter user called SophieFromMars.
And it got McAllister invited onto Owen Jones's show to tell his side too. There was, of course, a good bit of presenting Sampson's article as if it was sexual harassment to play the victim of.
It is about me, and she has, you know, made comments about my body in the national press.
One far more believable criticism McAllister made of Sampson's piece was
Bro,
that he
this like spinning it to play the victim is so rancid.
felt it was unlikely the narrative journey from, let's say, tolerant to TERF that is told in the article was actually authentic.
disgusting.
He tweeted this: "Sure would be interesting if Ruby's likes before the 15th of February suggested she was already a transphobe, wouldn't it?" The two tweets, as liked by Sampson, which McAllister has screenshotted as evidence of transphobia, are these. One, a tweet objecting to the placement of a man convicted of 2 rapes in a women's prison, and the other, a tweet framing the Scottish Gender Self-ID Bill as being a detriment to women's rights. These are the sorts of things you would have to align with in order to be considered a TERF by McAllister. And remember, TERFs are fascists, fascists should be stabbed in the throat, and this guy really, really likes knives.
Jesus
Two other
Christ.
interesting little bits that I noted in researching Genusgate. While discussing the article with Katie Montgomery, McAllister complained of Sampson that...
So it's completely nonsense.
She doesn't know I have a penis.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's also...
That's the thing on top of everything else.
Now, I'm not for a minute suggesting it is at all likely that Sampson would have read McAllister's Mastodon post enough to know that he is an enthusiastic penis haver, but there is nevertheless an incoherence here. To be a loud, proud proclaimer of one's sex life, anatomy, preferences, etc. when it suits you, and then to pull this pearl-clutching
How dare you imagine what's in my pants, for shame!
routine the moment there's any clout
Dude, this
to be had
guy's
for
so
doing
good.
so. And there was this quite amazing moment.
I really strained the imagination to try and think, like, maybe someone would say it if they were, like, trying to make a joke to, like, break the ice, because they could tell that you were being weird because they're trans?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Exactly. It's not even threatening, even if it's true.
In which both McAllister and Montgomery declared that a hypothetical man telling a woman he's going to dry his hands on his penis in a woman's loo ought to be taken as within the realm of acceptable non-threatening humour. No.
What is going on, man? This is so insane. Why? How do these people get like prominence in like these communities? I just don't. I kind of get it, but oh my god, Keffals is covering this too. Surely you would not want someone like this representing you, would you? I don't know. Am I crazy? We'll watch some of Keffals talk about it, I think. Hopefully she goes over all the tweets.
Nice. I think McAllister is, in truth, a flamboyant, extroverted, bisexual man with a lot of intelligence. He is, no doubt, the target of a certain amount of homophobia and of coercive gender norms, and, in my opinion, deserves appropriate consideration and protection on those fronts. However, he is also a 6'2", 97kg, ideologically motivated.
Bro, stop showing this photo. That's so
piss,
gross.
And who insists on having a right of access to female single-sex toilets and other spaces. He is enraged by women saying no to him, believing them to be motivated by a beyond-the-pale hatred, and likes to propagate extremist rhetoric wishing violence upon them. He tells shame-faced lies readily in order to paint himself as a victim or to malign political opponents.
Why do you keep showing those nasty shit? I don't want
grifting
to
his
see any
living
of
out
this
of
shit.
his
bro.
online
Stop.
popularity within a niche but highly active subculture. He has directly participated in at least 2 aggressive mobilizations against standing for women, and has continued to incite his followers to continue those actions. He has also admitted to having borderline personality disorder, which, to be fair, should appear on both sides of the equation here, but is concerning. I'm not going to make a drive-by diagnosis, but these clips stood out as red flags of something.
God, I'm the fucking best. The tragedy of my existence is that I cannot fuck myself. People approach me and they say, oh my god, you're Sophie, I love your videos. I'm trying to fight my impulse to go, really? Then name 5 of them. Because I find that very entertaining, but they do not enjoy it. It's a bad time for a fan. With the box with the fans. Can you lean back a little? I've got this light it's a big shadow on my face.
Because there are 30 articles a fucking day. Because I can't get away from it. I can't escape it. It's fucking everywhere.
Yeah, the thing you can't get away from is that some women are saying no to accepting you as one of them. It's not exactly clear what proportion take that view, but polling like this, in which 32% of British women took a stance against the Gender Recognition Act existing at all, gives us some idea. You have absolutely no right to ignore these women's no, and you are committing a boundary violation every time you do so, every time you use their spaces, every time you use their language. Rather than face that fact, you have convinced yourself that this very large, very ordinary group of women are somehow a tiny demographic of abhorrent deplorables that can be ridden.
Not now, not ever.
Your only option from here is to take a seat at the table and have the conversation your movement has been pathologically avoidant of all this time. It won't end very well, but you might be able to salvage some dignity in there somewhere. At a bare minimum, that conversation is going to happen on the basis that people take various views about the status of trans-identifying people, and that acknowledging a person's sex is not bigotry. Returning to the Ruby Sampson article, in my opinion, McAllister and Monty did make some fair criticisms of what Sampson wrote, but they missed the biggest flaw. Fundamentally, she wrote that article from a place of weakness, needlessly giving ground by implying that trans-identifying men, so long as they behave themselves, should be allowed in women's single-sex spaces. Assuming for a minute that it was him, Sampson was well within her rights to find McAllister's mere presence unacceptable, and everything I've learnt about him for this piece suggests any fear she may have felt was not misplaced. A worry that this rhetoric and hostility will escalate into fatal violence at some point. I suspect if or when it does, it won't be McAllister holding the knife. He's too well protected by class privilege among other things, but some unfortunate soul coming from a fundamentally more desperate place may be susceptible to carrying out extremist violence in the name of the ideology activists like McAllister espouse. And they say you should always finish on a joke. So here is McAllister giving us a bit more insight into what being trans means to him.
When you're an egg, you're very obviously trans, and in hindsight you can see it really, really clearly, but then you have not figured it out. No, I'm definitely a girl. I just really like sports and baggy clothes and that androgynous nickname all my friends call me. No, I'm a boy. I just think that men should get to be beautiful. Well, I mean, I'm not saying all men. Me specifically. No, but I'm definitely a boy. I'm cis. Of course I'm cis, but I'm really invested in trans topics, and I spend all my time advocating for trans rights. And all my friends are trans, and I'm constantly jealous of them, but I'm definitely cis.
So it is all just gender stereotypes then?
Yeah, dude. This person would have Chie fucking beheaded, bro. You'd have a head cut off in this person's world. What do you think about it? Guys, remember what they took from you. Guys, remember what they took from you. Okay.
Persona 4 Dancing on We are living
Remember what I took from you. I'm looking for the tweets. Give me a minute. Okay, I found the tweets. We're all good. I've got it. Palette cleanser, exactly. Big Chie palette cleanser, okay. Alright. So Sophie from Mars put out this tweet this is the first thing that happened, I think. And basically, she says, taking responsibility. I've recently been made made aware of serious harm for which I am responsible. I've had my behaviour described to me, and I'm horrified. And having heard the descriptions of my behaviour, I entirely agree with what people have said. Only I can know my intentions. Everyone else can only judge my actions. Therefore, I'm going to do the only thing I can and focus entirely on changing in ways that can make sure I never hurt anyone again. The kindness of people that you have hurt is an impossibly precious thing, and I don't intend to squander it. I'm staying away from everyone who I've hurt, and will wait for anyone who wants to contact me for anything to reach out. I'm committed to engaging in any process of accountability that is wanted of me. And then, later on, this came out from this account, Alice Avizendum. Let's try calling me November. I have to talk about some bad things that happened. I wish I didn't. Sophie from Mars, McAllister is a danger to other trans women. We're a group of trans women who have been harmed by Sophie. Some of us have dated and been in relationships with her. Many others have hooked up with her. She's been abusive, controlling, indifferent to our consent or its absence, and catastrophically selfish. Some of us have been permanently physically scarred. Some of us have had drugs pressured on us. All of us have been left seriously hurt, both emotionally and physically. We believe this represents a pattern of calculated, intentional abuse by Sophie, and that there may be many more people she has harmed. We are publicising this because the Whisper Network was not enough to protect us. If Sophie had a reputation for being unsafe, we either did not hear about it or gave her the benefit of the doubt. We believe that for the safety of the community, she must be linked to concrete, tangible harms. Okay, just the benefit of the doubt stuff, like, yeah, no shit. People give infinite charitability to these, like, online trans activist types, no matter the insane, degenerate, crazy, like, sexual proclivities they express, or, you know, psychopathic behaviors, that they would just endlessly forgive it. As trans women, we neither trust nor want the authorities to be involved in this case. Okay. I'm not calling the police because they hurt trans people. Okay. Okay, dude. An institutionally transphobic system of criminal justice has no business here. Jesus. We would not wish it on our worst enemy. It would make all of us less safe. We ask that everyone respect their wishes on this. So what's the point here? Don't call the police on trans women for rape? Is that what we're saying? Alright. Sounds great. Sounds great. Whatever follows this, and however Sophie chooses to respond, any process of accountability, and who participates in it, is an individual decision rather than a collective one. The one other thing we can confidently say we all share is in feeling is that Sophie's actions must be known so they can never happen again. In solidarity, Amy Etherington, Morwenna Afon Emery's, Alice Caldwell Kelly, Astrid Johnson, Maisie Astrid. Alright. Why would we call the police? What are they going to do? Solve the problem? Innit? Alright, let's have a look at Keffals' stream. Let's see what she's been saying about all this. So there's no real evidence there, it's just a claim, but, you know, Sophie from Mars has, you know, immediately copped to it, so... I mean, you know, there's not much point defending if they just totally cop to it and there's... no disagreement on anything.
Not a real thing. That's the first.
Crude candor in third grade vocabulary.
Okay, dude. Get to the point, Domi.
Why she hates me so much is that she's like really he's like fucking roasting her.
Why are you watching your own content, loser?
Like anything I've said about Hassani reacting to the Hoots video though. I think it just like the lies get to a point where it just it hurts. I try to like play it off like it doesn't hurt, but they hurt because it's not true. There's nothing I can do in order to make people stop lying.
What is this bitch rambling about? What's she yapping about? What lies are people telling about you? That you stole 100k from trans people? That's true, bro.
Was there a recent Bad Bunny thing?
So where was this? Where is the Sophie from Mars stuff in this world?
Look, you go to her if you go to her Twitch, Kira chats, and you where did I put it?
She was covering it before you went live. How long ago was that? What am I looking for here? Oh, is it here? Oh yeah, I see.
I did. I really miss like my old setup when I had like
Okay, bitch.
someone calling out sexual assault by talking about unrelated.
Here we go.
So I think because we're going to be talking about the topic of sexual assault today, I want to start by prefacing something that one of the victims said.
Yeah, this seems like the right place in the world.
So, after the response to the situation, Alice tweeted this out. It is not helpful to interact with someone calling out sexual assault by talking about unrelated beef you had with the person they're talking about. I can't believe I have to say this. I always suspected ever since she was rude to me on Discord 18 months ago. No, you didn't. Stop. Be quiet. People gloating because they already hated her and are glad she's in trouble makes me feel like even less of a person than she managed to. So I think it's real. Have it. I personally never had an issue. I think it's real. Have it. I personally never had an issue with her interpersonally. She stopped being my friend for associating with Bosch, but that's neither here nor there. But I wanted to put that first to make sure that no one is
okay. Yeah, they have so it's good now.
So as I was saying, I think it's important to not try to process this through the lens of internet drama.
It is
and
internet
remember
drama.
That
Too
people
bad.
were
Suck
very
it up.
much hurt by her.
Yep.
So
and
with that
problem?
said, let's go over the statement that recently came out. So Alice tweeted out this. Sophie from Mars, McAllister.
Oh yeah, guys. Remember to please like, sub, donate if you can, gift a membership, buy membership, buy super chats. Thank you.
Is a danger to other trans women. We are a group of trans women who have been harmed by Sophie. Some of us have dated and been in relationships with her. Many others have hooked up with her. She has been abusive, controlling, indifferent to our consent or its absence, and catastrophically selfish. Some of us have been permanently physically scarred. Some of us have had drugs pressured on us. All of us have been left seriously hurt, both emotionally and physically. We believe this represents a pattern of calculated, intentional abuse by Sophie, and that there may be many more people she has harmed. We are publicizing this information because the Whisper Network was not enough to protect us. And unfortunately, for women in general, more so for women who are marginalized in other ways than just being women, there is a Whisper Network that people have about people who are potentially dangerous.
What?
Because going to the...
Okay, what is she saying? Sorry, okay.
And unfortunately, for women in general, more so for women who are marginalized in other ways than just being women, there is a whisper network that people have about people who are potentially dangerous.
I just don't know that it's true, that it's more so. But I mean, she's saying women are marginalized in other ways. So I mean, she could mean like black women as well. But let's be honest, she's talking about trans women. So I just don't know that it's the case that it's worse. Okay.
Because going to the police is not always, in most cases, honestly, the smartest answer. And it's a whisper network that people use in order to warn people about other people, fearing the consequences.
Actually, trans women have every bad thing that women have happen to them, except worse. Actually, it's like being a woman, except you're even more oppressed. Actually, in every single way.
About that person. Because especially if there's someone who has a lot of clout and notoriety in the community, coming forward with public accusations could be life-ruining. So to continue on with that, if Sophie had a reputation for being unsafe, we either did not hear about it or gave her the benefit of the doubt. We believe that for the safety of the community, she must be linked to concrete, tangible harms. As trans women, we neither trust nor want the authorities to be involved in this case. An institutionally transphobic system of criminal justice has no business here. We would not wish it on our worst enemy, and it would make all of us less safe. We ask that everyone respect our wishes on this. Whatever follows this and however Sophie chooses to respond, and any process of accountability and who participates in it is an individual decision rather than a collective one. The one thing we can confidently say we all share in feeling is that Sophie's actions must be known about so they can never happen again. In solidarity, Amy Etherington, Mariana Afon-Emrys, Alice Caldwell-Kelly, Astrid Johnson, and Maisie Bell. So, Alice continues in this thread. Difficult to articulate what I want to say personally here. This is maybe strange to say about a woman whose cigarette burns you are still healing from, but I can't make myself hate Sophie. I don't want to destroy her or her career, but there has to be a warning. After the day she gave me those burns, I spoke to her about it privately, and she was very contrite and insisted it was just me and a one-time thing, and I felt a bit managed. And the second I pulled on that thread, I found how many times this pattern had worked itself out. So the cigarette burn here is not a metaphor. And it doesn't appear that there was a conversation about it beforehand. It's been one of those situations where the more I think about it, the more I remember and the worse I feel, even about things that in the moment I enjoyed or thought I did. And I think that's a common experience with her. What I want out of this is practically almost nothing. You don't even have to stop watching her content if she keeps making it. I just want her to not be able to convince anyone else that it's their unique extreme nature that makes her want to act like this, because it isn't. I see Philosophy Tube gave her well wishes.
Oh, well, Philosophy Tube was supporting her before, right? So that is a switch up. Not once these accusations came out, but before the accusations. They would never say it's about a non-trans abuser. Yeah, I've stopped watching it. Yeah, true. They'd be like, why are you supporting a rapist? Why are you supporting Too Mad? He's a rape. Don't you know he's an SA alligated?
Don't you know he killed the K?
So, to people who don't know, Alice is a trans content creator who's one of the co-hosts on Trash Future Pod. I've collaborated with her in the past. I didn't know when I planned to cover this on stream that Sophie had put out a public apology. So she said, taking responsibility, and here's what she said. I have recently been made aware of serious harm for which I am responsible. I have had my behavior described to me and I am horrified. And having heard the descriptions of my behavior, I entirely agree with what people have said. Only I can know my intentions. Everyone else can only judge my actions. Therefore, I'm going to do the only thing I can and focus entirely on changing in ways that make sure I never hurt anyone again. The passive voice here is very alarming, especially starting this off by saying that she has just been made aware of serious harm. But let's continue with this. The kindness of people that you have hurt is an impossibly... The kindness of people that you have hurt is an impossibly precocious thing, and I don't intend to squander it. I'm staying away from everyone who I've hurt.
Retarded? She just took like 5 seconds to sit there and read what that word was and still said precocious. Okay.
And will wait for anyone who wants to contact me for anything to reach out. I am committed to engaging in any process of accountability that is wanted of me. It's precious, not precocious. Jeez. It felt like a weird word in that sentence, but... The one thing that is very weird about this to me is how vague it is. Like, what this commenter said is, I think, very important. What was the harm? What was the harm? What was it? Because you could copy-paste this apology for anything. It doesn't actually describe any of the hurt that has been carried out. It's not a bad apology. It's written very well. She is a video essayist. But Sister Rose is right. You could post this for stealing someone's donuts.
What, vague? Yeah, it's fucking disgusting. We're gonna speed this shit up. This is fucking boring. Say something, Keffals. Come on.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think there is a good way to do an apology for this. If the accusations, which in this apology, she's confirming are right, that she was physically putting out cigarettes on people without prior consent.
Vague, not vague.
Yeah, it's HR speak. But to be honest, I think Maeve's right. I don't feel comfortable dunking on this because this is a very serious situation. And I think that more than anything, there has to be a conversation about how to properly approach these sort of situations when they occur.
It's very different.
An inter-community setting. Because I agree with Alice. If you bring, if this were to become a criminal justice matter, it would not help anyone involved. It is very hard to trust the criminal justice system in order to make sure that people who are trans are not discriminated against. Or worse yet, if this were to become a criminal matter, she's found guilty and goes to jail, gets put into a male prison, or in the...
Yeah, to be fair, I think Long Silence fucked it up. I think it's the Canadian pronunciation, not the American pronunciation.
Other option, when they don't want to put a trans woman in with the male population, they end up basically in just isolation. It's a really fucked situation. Like, I don't know what the best way to handle this is. And the only thing that I can hope is correct about this is that she is willing to engage in some sort of accountability process in order to make it so the people that have been hurt by her feel safe again and can reclaim their dignity and their autonomy. I'm also very much open to what people have to say about
Destiny do it too? Maybe Midwesterners do it then.
Words. This is dark. Am I familiar with Lorelai Bailey and what happened there? I am not. Look, okay. Chat.
I'm jealous of In It, and I've been trying to sneak it in. I like In It. People mock me for it, but I think I like In It.
Chat. Okay, so two things. After we're done covering this, I'm gonna do something fun in order to try to shift the mood from how dark this is. But before we move on from this, I want you all to remember that the victims of this are asking you not to try to turn this into interpersonal. I don't like that she was in internet beef one time on the side of someone I don't like, because this is
Too bad. That's what we're doing.
about a situation of people being abused. And more than anything, when it comes to a situation like this, you need to listen to the victims. This is about what they want to see happen and not about just a public witch trial. Like, from what I've seen, if it's true, it's absolutely disgusting. But these are real people's lives. And you can say to me, well, Keffals, they would never do this. They're hypocrites. And yeah, well, we're better than them. And we should do better. I want to take a quick look and just see if there's any other response. No. We'll have to see where the situation goes. I'll keep an eye on this as stuff unfolds. But I do think it's important to discuss this.
Okay, a TLDR on the drama, is it just typical non-binary sexual promiscuity gone sour, but there's this trans activist called Sophie from Mars who's accused of being emotionally and physically abusive, putting out cigarettes on people and pressuring them into taking drugs and stuff like that. And she's copped to it, so I mean it's kind of just open and shut. She said, yeah, I did it.
And it's also important to note, especially because I know that the majority of... Wait, we have one of Sophie's ex in Twitch chat? Wait, did I miss something?
Right, we just watched a documentary about her, right? She stole a bunch of GoFundMe money in the past, and it's just like complete lunatic. It's not much crazy fucking shit.
Like the Moonin? Hold on. Do you want to ask me any questions? I'm not really down to be involved in a cancellation thing because no one deserves the agony of a witch trial, but it was a wild time. If there's anything that you want to say to the audience, you are more than welcome to. I don't really want to do a witch trial as much as I just wanted to talk about what's going on. But anything that you have to say is more informative than anything that I can, since you were personally involved in the situation. When I met Sophie, I was super fucked up and a bad person. I'd been removed from community for my own sexual misconduct and felt intense shame about it. Sophie told me if I told her everything, she'd keep me safe. I had to be completely honest and open up completely, so I did. Jesus. Was in and out of hospital for a long time and was basically detoxing on her sofa for the first 3 months of our relationship. So right now I'm talking to one of Sophie from Mars' ex in the Twitch chat. She is also welcome to come onto the stream if she wants. Otherwise, I'll just be reading out her messages. When I got canceled, for lack of a better word, I was in a depressive haze, and she let me live in her bed. I don't want to come on the stream. I want to keep it fairly concise. Absolutely. Do whatever you're most comfortable with. You making sure that the people who were wronged by her are comfortable, that they feel heard, that they get a process of accountability from the situation is far more important than internet content. So to read what she's saying again. I have my own victims from when I was running around causing a bunch of harm, and Sophie was under social pressure in London to make it work for her. Oh, another message just came through. I was shitty to her. I hit her once when I was psychotic. I want to totally own that. I don't think these sort of situations are ever cut and dry. It definitely sounds like there was a power imbalance in the situation.
Listen to all this. Like, I don't even necessarily disagree, but listen to all this charity that she's giving Sophie here. All this charity she's giving this person that's in chat saying she hit Sophie. You would never see this given to a man, an actual man. You would never. You would never.
Where she had more power than you in the situation, but as an outsider, I can only speculate on this. So she just left another message. The shit was gnarly. She very much presented herself as saving my life.
Slowly transition.
I'm still trying to make sense of everything. Well,
wait, I'm sorry. I'm gonna ban you.
I hope that
Okay.
you can make sense of everything and that you can move forward with your life with a sense of clarity.
I'm sick of the trans memes, the jokes about me transing or people here transing. Okay, none of this needs to go. We're shutting this down. Okay.
You're always welcome here, and I'm
The
sorry
cat
that
stuff,
this
that's gotta
situation
go.
happened to you in the first place. In March this year, she made a cancellation post about me claiming I was a pathologically evil motherfucker who raped my way through the world. What? I was rehospitalized and I don't remember much. Is this
He's gone full Jenny.
My mom had to shower.
Listen, nothing's been done yet. Okay.
Sweetheart. It was awful, and I'm still trying to get my head around everything that happened. Jesus Christ. Shit out of me, Ellen. She just no, sorry everyone. Ellen just came in from doing errands, and when the door opened, you all know I have PTSD. Part of that is because of swatting. I have a thing with doors, so as soon as I heard the door, I just jumped. My heart is racing a little bit. Okay. I'm good. We're all chill. Don't feel bad or anything. It's all good. I literally demoed my door PTSD on stream. Bilbo, that cat is mean. Look, you see these? You see this? This is a cat.
Okay, well, it looks like we got all we can out of this. Yeah, there's not a lot of meat here, to be honest. It doesn't seem like any of them have really described what happened. So